Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, Wooden Railway Adventures, Episode 176, If the Dome Fits. It was scary, said Paxton to the other engines. The railway inspector had finally had enough, and told Sir Topham Hatt he was going to be submitting his review. Then what happened? Asked James curiously. He walked away and that was that. The last I heard, the railway inspector went back to the Duke and Duchess's house. I think he's had enough of our railway. And we've had enough of him, said Edward firmly. How dare he treat Sir Handel and Rheneas like that? And the review's finally on its way, said Toby. What do you think is going to happen? Hopefully nothing too serious, replied Daisy. I don't want to lose my passengers. They'll stick by us, said Gordon confidently. At least my passengers will. They wouldn't possibly miss my express. I wouldn't be so sure, said Edward. We have to remain open-minded. Just then, Duck puffed in with his coaches. Have any of you seen Oliver? He asked quickly. No, replied James. He's not around the yard much ever since he went up to help Percy out at Ulfstead. What's the matter? Asked Toby. Do you need some help on your branch line? No, I don't, said Duck sternly. I can handle the Little Western just fine. I don't need any help. The engines were surprised at Duck's attitude. Did you hear about the railway inspector? Asked Daisy. Yes, he's submitting his review. Now I must be going. But what do you think we should do? Asked Paxton. Do you really want to know what I think? Replied Duck. I think we should stop lying around the sheds, gossiping about something that doesn't matter. That's what I think. Duck puffed away, leaving the surprised engines behind in a cloud of steam. Daisy was offended. How incredibly rude, she murmured. I think Duck is a little stressed, to say the least, replied Gordon. With Oliver gone at Ulfstead, he's had a lot of work to handle. But that's why Sir Topham Hatt sent Ryan to help him, said James. Those two don't exactly get along, countered Paxton, even though Ryan has been very helpful lately. And the engines were right. Ryan was attempting to help Duck on the Little Western, but he was having none of it. Ryan, I told you, you don't need to take these freight cars. I can handle it. No, you can't, replied Ryan firmly. You have coaches to pull. I can take both, said Duck sternly. Ryan chuckled. Your passengers won't be thrilled when there's ballast flying and cracking their windows. Duck was losing patience. There are two ways of doing things, the Great Western Way or the wrong way, and neither of them require your help. Duck stormed away and Ryan was left feeling dejected. He probably doesn't want to work together because of our disagreement a few months ago, he said sadly. If only I could prove to him that I'm willing to help. The next day, Duck arrived at Tidmouth Station to find Ryan waiting in a siding nearby. Hello, Duck, he whistled cheerfully. I'm here to be your back engine. I don't need a back engine, shouted Duck crossly. I can handle this train just fine. But you're about to go up Gordon's Hill, protested Ryan. Surely you'll need some help there. I can manage, thank you, replied Duck. Sheesh, what an annoying little engine. Ryan was left feeling worse than before. Cheer up, replied Stanley. I had to help out on the Little Western a while back when Duck was at the works. He and Oliver have a very strange way of running things that only they understand. You'll get the hang of it eventually. Ryan was determined not to give up. I'm sure Duck will need help with something eventually, he thought. I'll just follow him around and jump in wherever I'm needed. Ryan quickly raced after Duck's train. Meanwhile, the Great Western engine was chugging along just fine. As he sped down the hill at top speed, he saw the railway inspector walking along the track just up ahead. Look out! Shouted Duck. Get out of the way! Just as the two were about to collide, Duck veered into a siding and smashed headfirst into the back of the sheds. What on earth was that noise? Wondered the inspector. This railway is too noisy for my liking. Help! Called Duck. I'm stuck and the shed's filling with smoke. Oh my, said the inspector as he turned around. Yet another crash. Unbelievable. I'm going to put this on my report as well. You stupid inspector, shouted Butch. Get him out of there. Just then, Ryan came down the hill. He was shocked at the mess that lay in front of him. Duck, he shouted. Are you all right? I think so, came the muffled reply. But there's smoke everywhere and I can't see a thing. And Duck was right. The sparks from his funnel, as well as the spilled coals from the train, were moments away from igniting. "Don't worry, I'll save you!" shouted Ryan. Butch cleared the wrecked cars away from the track, and after much heaving and puffing, Ryan was able to pull Duck to safety. "Oh, thank you, Ryan," coughed Duck. "I couldn't move, and you saved me." Ryan smiled. "You're welcome," he said wearily. Billy soon arrived with the fire department in tow. The sheds were quickly extinguished before a major blaze could break out. Sir Topham Hatt commended Ryan's actions. "Well done, Ryan," he said happily. "Your quick thinking saved Duck and these sheds from a rather nasty case of heat stroke. I'm so glad you elected to be Duck's back engine." "Pardon me, sir?" asked Ryan curiously. "A back engine," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You obviously helped Duck up the hill and followed him down the other side. That's the only way you got here so quickly." Ryan looked away shyly. "Of course, sir." Meanwhile, the railway inspector had been watching the cleanup. Sir Topham Hatt noticed he seemed oddly unimpressed. "You made it here rather quickly, Inspector. Did you see the crash from the Duke and Duchess's house?" "Huh?" questioned the inspector. "Oh, yes, I did. Quite a terrible wreck. This is going on my report, of course." "No, you won't," came a voice. Sir Topham Hatt and the railway inspector noticed Butch off to the side. "He was walking on the track, sir," he said crossly. "That's what caused Duck to hit the back of the sheds." "Oh, preposterous," laughed the inspector. "Silly truck thing." "I'm a breakdown crane, and I'm not silly," said Butch firmly. "He's right," agreed Duck. "I remember what I saw. Just before I veered off the main line, I saw the inspector walking on the rails." "You crashed on purpose to avoid hitting him," whispered Ryan. "I suppose I did," said Duck, "but I would have done this whole railway a huge favor had I not." Sir Topham Hatt was shocked. "What were you doing on the track, Inspector?" he asked curiously. "Not only is it incredibly unsafe, but a man of your profession should also know better." The railway inspector looked away. "Just doing some routine maintenance checks on the sleepers," he murmured. Duck and Ryan looked at each other. Something didn't quite add up. Sir Topham Hatt was not convinced either. "Whatever you say, Mr. Inspector." The next morning, Ryan puffed into the yard to find Duck on a flatbed. He was going to be taken to the works for repairs. "How are you feeling?" asked Ryan. "Still got a bit of a cough," chuckled Duck. "Smoke inhalation is a pesky thing." "It could have been a lot worse," said Ryan. "Yes, it could have, and I want to thank you again," said Duck. "I've been rather gruff and rude lately, and I hope you understand that I'm sorry. You've changed a lot, and I sincerely hope that Sir Topham Hatt decides to let you stay." Ryan smiled. "That means a lot coming from you, Mr. Waddle Wheels," he said cheekily. Duck rolled his eyes. "If the dome fits, wear it, I suppose." After that, Duck was taken to the works. The two engines realized what an incredible friendship had surprisingly formed over the past few months, and they were both going to miss each other very much.